Thank you for tuning in. Here today we have author Peter Vu with the book Living for a Higher Purpose. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your book?
I am currently a pastor, and I've been a pastor for the last 25 years. And I came over here from Vietnam, and I myself also a chaplain at Grand Rapids Home of Veterans. I came over here when I was 15, 16, and I went to colleges here. Went to be trained to be a pastor, a Catholic priest, and then since then I've been a priest for that long. And the book that I wrote is Living for a High Purpose. Partly history about the Vietnam War, partly also about to give people hope, and especially people who feel down. The book itself also talks about some of the current issues about refugees and how people had to escape from their own country to go to a different country for a different life. So the book has historical value, but also the daily issues that you and I have to deal with, how to attain hope and try to live to a better purpose.
An interesting story to hear about, because I know this country was built on the back of immigrants, so it's really cool when we see books where people would describe their stories and what it was like. So what inspired you to start the journey of writing this book?
Partly because as a priest, I preach this every day, so I've been preaching at the pulpit. So I share my life, as most preacher would, to my audience, and they only heard a snapshot, here and there, different story that fit with the scripture, with the Bible. So they asked me, why don't you write out the whole book so that we can see the whole picture? So that was one reason. The other thing was that they said, if you don't write it down, you forget. And so those was the two reasons. And then also I find that if I write it down, I'll be able to reach out to a lot more people beside my congregation. So I had to put myself down and start writing. And it was difficult. It certainly go back in history and tears coming down my eyes when I wrote those because it was difficult with the Vietnam War as well as my having escaped from Vietnam. I'm one of the few lucky ones that made it here alive, both from the Vietnam War as well as the herring journey, seeing pirates and run into big storms, escape some of the communist boats that tried to catch us, all those things. And I felt blessed to share my story of how God continued to work in our lives, or my life, so that I can lift up other people who might feel down or lost in this world.
What would you say was one difficulty you faced while in the process of writing this book?
I guess, first of all, I think would be professional writing is not my thing. I was trained to be a mathematician. I'm a scientist, so I like to deal with numbers and science. Writing is, gosh, you probably can't get me to write things. But God works in a funny way. So I sat down and began to write it. And like I shared earlier, it was difficult because you go back through history, how painful it was about the Vietnam War and the escape. And I basically saw death. I saw death and survived. So it was difficult from that standpoint. And also you try to, you have certain things that you have in your mind, but then put out on a piece of paper and make sense to the people, guide people through the journey. And the message is not easy. And unless you write year after year. This was my first book. It was difficult, and of course, here's the most difficult thing: is that English is not it's not my first language. So all the idioms and whatnot, it was challenging. But I said, if it's easy for one author to write, this book is probably twice as difficult for me to write because of the language barrier, and also try to capture the pictures so the people can see what I'm trying to describe.
You did a great job with your book, and you got it published, so that's great. Like you mentioned, you want to bring your message out for people to read. So what would you say is the message you would like the readers to take from this book?
I think first and foremost would be the message of hope. I want to lift up people. I want to help people see that even in the darkest moments of their lives, like I saw, whether the Vietnam War or the storm that I thought it would swallow me up alive. God has a reason for us to live. You and I have a reason. You have a reason, and I have a reason. It's just that we just need to take time to discern what that purpose is. For me, the purpose to be a Catholic priest. I'm called to lift up people, spiritually and mentally, emotionally. And I could choose other job, other career, but for me, that's the most meaningful and satisfying because I can help people from all walks of life. So that's the foremost reason to give people hope. And then the other thing too is that to help people see how God works in our lives. I think sometimes we don't realize that. But I met so many people, and they become part of my life, and we call those people angels, benefactors. And I'm grateful for those people and see how God sent those people into our life. And perhaps a little bit about the history of the Vietnam War. A lot of books being written from the American GI or Westerner, reporters, but not a lot from the people who we call that the collateral, casualty. I want people to see the consequences of war. So that people in government leaders had to wage a war really hard to see the pro and con before they enter the war. Because once we enter the war, we inherit the mess, and we stir up people like the future. And I don't think I have to tell you not only the Vietnam War, but the war in Afghanistan, the other war in Iraq, for example. So I want leaders to have, read my books and see the consequences. People talk and debate about it, but they don't see what people have to go through after the war. And perhaps the other thing too is that we talk a lot about refugee. I'm grateful for what people have done for the United Nations and the U.S. to give me a home here. But refugee, we're human beings. We left our country for a reason. Perhaps we come here for a better life, but if we can stay at home, I would guarantee you that I and everyone would want to stay at home. No one wants to come to another foreign country. So I want the people in America or in the Western world to see the humanity. This country, cry about, freedom and being charitable to other people. Perhaps it's time for us, to be a little more human in terms of treating others. If we don't have that humanity, all the wealth and everything that we big bomb won't mean nothing. We come here so that we can build up this country. We can, find a new life. And that's all we want about. It's not about, the mighty dollar. We don't have a home. We need a home. And I thank this country for letting me have a home. And hopefully, it can have some compassion to other refugees as well.
are such great messages to put out into the world, teaching people while also giving them hope, and showing people what other, what other people are going through that they may not realize. It's just such an amazing message. Is there any other books that you have worked on before that you would like for us to know about as well?
Yeah, I think my main message is about I have other devotional books like Lord Jesus, I Want to See, adult edition as well as family and children edition. The reason why is that I chose that title because the children told me Jesus healed a lot of people, from hearing problem to all the critical problem. But they said the eyesight is something that the kids say, Father, if we cannot see, then that's it. So being able to see not only physically but also mentally and spiritually, if we can see through the things in this life, we can be able to overcome a lot of things. So I chose the title for that book, for those two books from the children. So it's about devotional so that we can pray every day so the Lord will give us the clear vision. The three recent books that I wrote was Inspiration Coffee and Wisdom Tea, Daily Delight at the Divine Coffee Shop. Also to inspire people, to help them go through each day. In the morning, there's a saying, and then in the middle of the day there's another saying, and they come from all walks of life, people from all over the world, famous people, inspiring people, so that each day you and I don't have a lot of time to sit and pray, but we can read something to inspire to get moving in the morning. In the middle of the day, we read something to help us make the right decision or complete the day. So that's another book. Two other book is The Adventure with my blanket miler. It's about the kids who try to find to travel with other children to go to check out this new place. It's an adventure, and he ran into this this landlord who was very mean to other people, and so the kids try to get some of that richness from this rich guy, try to share, almost like Robin Hood kind of thing, to try to help to share some of that resources with other kids that who might struggle through. So that's one. But the one that I'm writing recently is that this Summer Camp March, and that book is about kids who look different, who had to face with other issues in their life, whether pandemic, look different, and get discriminated and whatnot, and also face the world that you can see right now with all kinds of issues about global warming. And so this story about friendship and how they themselves will try to protect the environment, try to help each other overcome the daily issues, and sort of fight the power of darkness together. And I think it's an inspiring and wonderful story to help kids, especially during the pandemic when they don't have anywhere to rely on, and deal with a lot of issues in friendship, and build the confidence in themselves, to overcome the challenges in their daily lives.
All these books sound amazing, and they all have this great message of, unity and humanity. I think sometimes we tend to forget that we are all the same, and right now everyone's going through really tough times. So these would be such great books to read in such times like this, because sometimes it gets to us, and we just need that reminder that we're all going through the same, and we're all working on this together, which is such a great thing. Now, where can people check out these books of yours?
Well, I think obviously they can go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon, but I just revealed my new website. Is Father Peter G Wu, so spell right like the FATHERPTERGVU.org. So, and of course, you Google on the internet, you can find out at different places as well. But FatherPeterGwu.org is my website. Any you can Google any of those books, and Amazon or Barnes Noble, you can get a hold of my books.
Great. Well, you heard it here. These are such amazing books that I think we should all definitely check out. You can check them out Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and on his website. Thank you so much for such an amazing interview and telling us so much about your books. Is there anything else you would like to add before we
It's
end?
also on the audio form as well. People can get the audio books in my book. But I appreciate the opportunities, and I inspire people to not only read my books but also help one another. That's my main message. We all, like you said, one human being. I remember during the Cold War, we have the possibility of having the nuclear war. I remember when I was in Vietnam, I also came over here in the 80s, and I have a little T-shirt a friend gave to me. It said, "We all one people," and that way we know that your pain is my pain, and we all need to work together to make this world a better place, whether for ourselves now or for the future, because we need to make it a better place than we have found it. And that's what the Creator wants us to do as well. So I hope that people will do that and help one another. And that's the message I want to share.
Thank you so much for sharing that message. And thank you for everyone tuning in. And again, you can check out these books on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and his website. Thank you, everyone.